Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Gard, you just asked me to summarize my main points. I have 3 main points, and I'll start with these. The first one is that as governments develop renewables, they have to be very clear about what targets they want to achieve with this renewable energy. Because depending on the target, the actual optimal implementation may be very different. There is increasingly an economic case for renewables. Jobs, economic activity can be important drivers. We see today more than 9 million jobs in renewables worldwide. Also, for some countries, energy security is an important factor. For example, in the case of India, the majority of the oil is imported, and even the coal imports are on the rise. Then there is the issue of energy access for rural communities and households, but also providing more reliable access to electricity. And then finally, environmental considerations. Health impacts of coal use and traditional biomass, but also climate change, especially in the light of the COP at the end of the year. So you need to be clear, what problem do you want to resolve before you pick your renewable solution. Second point is that if I look at the type of questions we are receiving from our member countries, they have been changing rapidly over the last 4 years. 4 years ago, the main question was, aren't renewables too expensive? That question has now kind of faded. The main question we're receiving today is, how do we need to adjust our power system, and how do we need to redesign our whole energy system for high shares of renewables? It's a new type of challenge. And the third point I want to make is, all too often a renewables discussion becomes within 5 minutes a discussion about renewable power. And of course, renewable power is very important, but it's only part of the total energy system. If you look in the case of India, electricity accounts for less than 15% of final energy demand. So what to do about the other 85% and how to apply renewables there? So renewables in end-use sectors, in buildings, in transport, and in industry. These are my 3 points. Now, very quickly, a few slides to illustrate that. Global attention on the rise. So IRENA membership has grown over 4 years from 60 to more than 140 members. A measure of how important this is on a global scale. We've done some analysis on how can globally renewables grow in the next 15 years. Our conclusion is it can grow to more than 1/3 of global energy demand. The most important conclusion for me from that analysis was that we see that it makes perfect economic sense. A global doubling is feasible, but of course the starting point in different countries is different, and therefore you need to account for the country differences to really assess the potential. If you look sectorally, where is that potential? 40% of the global potential is in the power sector, about half is in heat for buildings and industry, and about 13% in transport. And we see a very important role for modern bioenergy, which accounts for more than half of the potential out to 2030. We're working now through the list of countries. For each country, we were separately assessing what is feasible, and tomorrow we'll have the final preparatory workshop for the India study, so I hope we can launch that in October or November. That is an input for a number of discussions, and one of the fora where we are currently setting up a program is the G20, where India also plays an important role. Very important country, also from a global perspective. And as said, the potentials vary by country. So here's a list of some of the larger economies. What we think is possible in terms of share of renewables by 2030. And you see a range from 9% to more than 50%, but significantly more than what it's today in the policy plans, which is the orange part of the bar. Now, moving to the specifics for India, of course there is also significant use of traditional biomass, which I will not talk about today. We think that the use of modern renewables can grow to around a quarter of total final energy demand, even higher shares in power generation, and a very strong economic case for higher use of renewables. So if I compare the results for India with those for the United States, for China, for European countries, I can see significant similarities and potential areas for cooperation, and we will try to elaborate that further. And I think I'll stop there. Thank you very much.